Welcome to the book reading this morning. We are going to read an excerpt from our book, the title, Speak But Not For Me. I'll read from chapter 7, which is entitled, Misery Escapes from Nightmare. It has been one of those days when we boys are kept busy with chores around the home. The cattle have grazed to their fill, watered, and the fields weeded. Kayamba, the senior cow, is now nursing, and we have a steady supply of milk, but the animals need to be properly fed, provide any milk. Among our people, milk is a highly valued food, and a nursing animal is intimately woven into common folklore. Old people summed up the role of the nursing animal as otangolia ng'ombe yaito ebyare ebwagne ngoromumi ka abanchi baregana. This means, how I wish our animal calves down during the season of scarcity, when the closest of friends avoid each other. So I will show you the true meaning of appreciation. 2 other cows are in calf and are still some way off. But there is one problem. We have not met with our dad for weeks because he always leaves before dawn and comes back past dusk, mostly thoroughly inebriated. His life revolves around those concerns, and we want to have more of him during the working hours. There is hardly an opportunity for us to talk with him and ask the questions of life that young boys may have. This evening, a little weak lamb sits on one of the 3 cooking stones and flickers from side to side as if on the verge of death. Its small, smoky flame grows and contracts constantly as it is blown from side to side. Darkness is engulfing the countryside, and I longingly gaze at the mix of swirling shadows cast on the walls by the fire and the lamp, and wonder to myself, where does Dad stay all day, every day? Where is he when we need to talk? In resignation, I dismiss the thought and focus on the present. These weak lamps are made from recycled tins by Morris, the grizzled World War II veteran, who is the tinsmith at Miruka Market. Like many other homes around us, ours relies on the humble device. In the Longo liquor, I'll repeat. Like many other homes around us, ours relies on the humble device to light our abodes. This little lamp, also known as ekeweya in the local lingua, is ubiquitous in rural areas because a small amount of paraffin lasts much longer in the little contraption compared to a lantern. Mom is preparing dinner, and our evening meal will be ugali and rinaw, black nightshade, relish, accompanied by a cup of delicious sour milk. Suddenly, there is panic in everyone's eyes, and an uneasy silence falls on the group of 5 boys and their mother. Flames dart up the sides of the cooking pan with water almost at the boil. We all listen keenly to the approaching cranky squawking of a tipsy Dad. He is going to be home early today, and sadly, it is not a source of joy in this case, as one would expect, for the shouting is rarely ever a good omen. Presently, he staggers into the house, and the first act is to demand dinner at the top of his voice. Of course, dinner is not ready as it is being prepared. When dinner does not materialize instantly, he gets mighty upset and tips the boiling water into the fire, and with that go the dying embers and any remote prospect of dinner. The hearth is turned into a flooded mess. Luckily, the little candle does not tip over, although it almost gets smothered by steam rising from the dying fire. Mom, sensing danger, gets a quick way out of the kitchen, fleeing to relative safety. Left with his boys, Dad somehow manages to lift himself onto a high rung on a nearby ladder, and while perched precariously, starts rambling about everything but nothing. One of us boys gathers courage and engages Dad in a conversation. He asks, "Dad, where do you spend all your days?" Dad does not answer. The boy persists, asking, "Dad, we would like to know where we cannot get to spend time with you and talk with you when you are sober and when we are awake. Where do you spend your days?" I realize that the answer to the question might be more obvious than expected. Our neighbor gets lots of visitors. We are not allowed to go there when those visitors are there. The visitors typically start arriving mid-morning and sit in circles. I remember going there once to observe what they were all drinking and getting excited about. I observed that upon arrival, they usually sat in small groups on the neat carpet of Kikuyu grass lawn, mowed close to the ground by family ungulates, and started chatting quietly as they made their orders. They got served with some very clear liquid in glasses. As they raised the glasses to take swigs of this mysterious liquid, they slowly became more raucous. Smacking their discolored lips, they could reverently refer to the liquid they drank as egechuri. And small amounts of money constantly changed hands with the person serving. It seems like yesterday, and in flashback, I watched closely one man drinking a glass of the clear liquid. The process is money changes hands, then the butler carefully pours a measure out of a bottle into a clear glass and hands it over to the old man. The customer receives it, lifts it up while tilting it away at a slight angle, and examines it. He closes his eyes firmly and, raising the glass to his lips, swallows the fiery liquid in one long, seemingly excruciating gulp. The contortion of his face in that most primeval of grimaces convinces me that whatever he just swigged must taste like 1,000 raw nettles. Quietly, convinces me I should never taste that poison, yet he asks for more and more of the same stuff. As usual, the conversation starts with undertones, but gets louder, slurred, and less coherent as more and more glasses are emptied. This clear liquid seems to make people talk loudly while making less and less sense. One of the patrons is a teacher at one of the local primary schools. He loudly calls me and gives me some coins, saying, "Yeah, dash to the shop and get me 5 Sportsman cigarettes." I have always been drilled to understand that whenever an older person sends you on an errand, let alone a teacher, your duty is to run as fast as a rabbit and complete the task pronto. I take off toward the shop, and within no time, I am back with 5 sticks of his beloved Sportsman cigarettes. He receives his cigarettes, compliments loudly for being quick, and promptly reaches for his lighter. I walk off to my happy ways, but my dad happens to be present somewhere, watching the whole drama. He follows me and thoroughly criticizes me for being available to be sent to buy cigarettes. He tells me never to be around a drinking place again or go on such errands. Although he drinks, he doesn't seem amenable to me joining the club. He promises to deliver a thorough walloping on my backside if he catches me again and orders me to go back home immediately. I obey and walk away, wondering why he seems to give me contradictory signals. He has always insisted on being obedient and prompt when sent on errands by elderly people. I am now under the distinct impression that in some situations he would rather I disobey them. This seems confusing, and how am I to know when to and when not to obey? The drinking parties go on for several days, and finally the stream of sorts visiting peters out. The supply of changa appears to have run out, and clients have shifted to another brewer's home for their fiery tipple. I have observed that the process of making this colorless drink called changa is long and tedious. First, they prepare the dough using corn flour, made from the worst grade of maize available, add some brown sugar, and keep it in large tin containers for a few days. When they are satisfied that the dough is ready, they roast it to create baked clams used in the second stage of fermentation. The second stage involves the roasted clams mixed with sugar and yeast in large pots covered and left to ferment completion. Some people take the intoxicating drink at this stage, while others prefer to wait for it to be distilled to produce a clear, highly concentrated alcohol. After several days, the alcohol concentration increases, and the concoction is subjected to distillation. To confirm that it is pure alcohol, I saw the sellers pour it on the bottom of a tin container and light it up. It is that time of the year again when young people undergo initiation ceremonies. All self-respecting elders will ensure the beer is prepared for their peers to enjoy during their children's ceremonies. Never mind that not everybody understands how to make traditional beer. Mom is ordered to prepare beer for the forthcoming initiation ceremony. This is a big deal for two reasons. First, she has no idea how it is done, so if she were to make it, it would be a steep learning curve. Second, she is a deaconess at the local church, and the church teaches that Christians should never drink or handle alcoholic drinks. Having resisted for some time, she is ultimately unsuccessful and is compelled to do it anyway. She contacts the experts who agree to prepare the beer on her behalf. On the day of the initiation ceremony, there is plenty of drink to go around, and all my dad's friends and relatives are drinking and feeling merry. It then dawns on Dad that someone is busy scooping the beer reserved for guests expected the next day and pouring it into a container hidden in the hedge. He gets very angry and demands to know who touched the pot of beer. Everybody knows that it is the villainous lady who was serving, but many hesitate to name her. Someone finally discloses the name and where the beer is hidden. Dad gets even more upset and asks to be shown where she had hidden the beer. And yes, it turns out that a substantial amount of the busa was carefully hidden under some shrubs awaiting transportation. Later in the evening, once everybody was intoxicated and no longer paying attention, he carries the container into the open. With a commanding voice, he demands to be told who was pilfering drinks made for the guests who attended the ceremony. Clearly, in a full mood and not willing to take prisoners, he confronts the lady. The culprit gives some excuse about keeping some because she was serving, but he is thoroughly unimpressed. Taking a deep breath, as tension wells within him, he loudly dismisses her, saying, "This is my home, and I decide what goes. You cannot come here and pilfer beer I have made for my guests to go and sell elsewhere. I will never allow such conduct here. Your behavior is unacceptable, and you must get up and leave now." He concludes while pointing at the gate. "Is this me you are chasing away from here and humiliating like this?" she questions. She tries to talk herself out of the pickle to no avail. The old man is unrelenting. He follows her out of the house and out of the gate. As expected, she is incensed at the public humiliation and, glaring at him, quietly resolves to pay back at a time and a place of her choosing. Nevertheless, before departing the homestead, in deep resentment, she delivers a cryptic, a chilling warning to her as to well forward. "We shall see how far you go with your drinking." He jumps down his throat. She knows very well that he loves to tipple, so she delivers her declaration of war, looking him straight in the eyes. Straight away, in Dad's mind, this statement raises several difficult questions. Dad is a tippler, and this wily woman is the expert battler who measures and distributes beer wherever it is prepared. If she wanted, she would add something harmful to one's beer before he took it. The question was, what did she intend to do? What did she mean by the how far? Left with more questions and no answers, he swears never to take beer from her hands again. The old fellow remains troubled and keeps worrying if he is safe anymore. In the ensuing months, he discovers to his horror that wherever there is traditional beer, the person serving is the one and only butler. As soon as he knows she is the one serving, he leaves, determined not to take a sip lest he get harmed. Exasperated by the unending nightmare of this woman popping up everywhere, he returns home very early one day, as sober as a judge. He mutters half to himself, but within earshot of the boys and their mother, a lament of sorts. "Wherever I go, this same woman is serving beer in every home. There is no way I'll feel safe drinking beer out of her hand because she has sworn to do something unspecified to me. I do not want to find out what she wants to do to me. I am now sick and tired of her following me around." He pauses for the weighty words to sink, then bends down, picks a handful of twigs from the ground, and straightening his back up, lifts his eyes high into the horizon. He directs a tiny goodbye spittle at the twigs, and throwing them to the wind, says, "Woman, drink your measure and add mine too. I now leave alcohol to you." That marks the end of his drinking state. Thank you. We'll pick it up from there.